Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and coffee stream number 103, and it's a Wednesdays with Skep edition. Hi, Skep. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine. Blinds, how's it going? You're in the Great White North.
It's white, very white,
So
very white.
is it snowy white, or is it have you been getting snow, or is it ice, or what?
Yes.
Yeah, all of it. Huh? Yeah,
um,
the great refrigerator to the north.
yeah, let's see. We had we had all the schools closed last Wednesday for ice pellets coming from the sky.
Really?
Because the school board did not close during. Do you remember that cold snap that we had when it
Oh
was like,
yeah.
yeah, um, they didn't close the schools, and there were exams that needed to be written
Sure.
for high school students.
Yeah.
And they said that that was why they didn't close. And everyone was like, well, you've closed before for bad weather. Why are you making these kids who are nervous about writing their exams in the first place freeze to death? So last week they closed for the ice. And then yesterday they closed for the foot of snow that fell. And then today all of the buses are canceled, but the schools are open.
Interesting.
And Alex was going to go to school today because the neighbors are pretty good about clearing the sidewalk on our side because they see me walk all the time.
Yeah.
So they're pretty good about clearing off the sidewalk, and the school is very good about clearing off the sidewalk. I don't know if it's because of me or not, but Alex tried to give Pincalo his mug of coffee this morning, his travel mug, which is stainless steel, by the way,
Yes.
and was full, and it slipped out of his hand and fell on his foot.
On Alex's foot.
Yes.
That's not good.
So nothing's broken, but he has a very big, like, nasty bruise on his poor foot. So I'm like, you know what? The weather is shit. The sidewalks are a bit icy. The school board said if you want to keep your kids home today, there will be no like penalty or anything.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna keep him home and keep him off his foot.
That's what I would have done. Exactly. Yeah, that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And you just day-to-day stuff that I take for granted down here in Texas. I mean, we just don't have days called for, snow and freezing and stuff like that. And of course, we get the heat in the summer, but there's air conditioning. You never get a day called for heat. So
well, see, we should have days called for heat because most of our schools don't have air conditioning.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's surprising.
We finish in late June. So we finish on and when I say late June, I mean like the last day of June usually.
Yeah.
And we have days in the month of June and sometimes in the late May that are so hot that and
it's
the
stifling inside the school.
Yeah, it's basically like a hot box. And so there are parents that are like, I'm not sending my kid to school. Like there are schools that are very well funded by they may happen to be situated in a district that has a lot more wealthy residents.
Yeah.
So the fundraisers are a lot more successful.
Yeah, right.
So there are some schools who can afford it.
Wow.
But most of the public and Catholic schools here do not, as a rule, have air conditioning except for in the office and the computer labs.
Interesting how that works.
Yeah.
Well, at any rate, we go on. I can remember a time when nobody had air conditioning. My school was in Ohio, and it didn't have air conditioning. That's how far back I go. Anyway, I didn't know what you wanted to talk about. We probably can't fill up a couple of hours talking about the weather,
No.
but I had gone over some of the several news items, and I had a few to bring up if you're interested in talking about
I
them.
wanted to know because I've been too exhausted to read about the Green New Deal, but I know that you've probably
Oh yes,
looked
yes,
into
yes,
it.
yes.
And
Actually,
Monkey and everybody on this morning brought up an interesting point that for a proposal that was probably around for a while, the 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 one they had AOC read seemed very vague and
oh,
early.
very general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and they were wondering if it wasn't perhaps a calculated kind of like, hey, give it to the retard. They'll do any like you know what I mean?
Oh,
They'll run with it.
jeez, how cynical. Hey, Alexandria will do it. She's stupid enough.
Yeah. Well, because the Dems for all of their ridiculous behavior
Yeah.
can't possibly think that she is intelligent.
They're starting to.
They have
That's a
to
different
know.
subject completely from the green proposal, but yes,
Well, let's do both.
there are definitely people in the Democratic Party, adults I call them, who are beginning to really take offense at the way Alexandria Ocasio Cortez is basically running the party into the ground with her off the wall. I mean, the Green New Deal that she proposed. And I saw the original on her website. I went to her website and looked at it,
Yeah.
and there's several things going on. First of all, it was like a cartoon done by a ninth grader, eighth or ninth grade. I would say at that level. Seriously, it was cartoon level with. And there really was, and she absolutely told a lie, told a complete fabrication afterwards. There was a provision in there for people who were unwilling to work, that they would be compensated, they would be kept comfortable, basically.
Unwilling to work, that floored me.
Yeah, there's so many things wrong with that where do you even start? And the idea of demolishing and rebuilding every single building in the United States. Let that sink in for a minute. Every single building in the United States, demolish and rebuild. Okay? Well, that won't cost much money.
That won't cause much pollution.
Right, exactly.
Retard.
Yeah, that's just, that's insane. So that was another point of insanity. Another one was no more fossil fuel consumption and no reliance on nuclear energy. So you're going to use solar and wind for what energy is provided through them, and which basically will mean that only emergency services, maybe in hospitals, would have electricity.
Yeah.
And with no hydrocarbons to burn, that means we'll be burning things like whale oil and fat from animals. But I'm sure that that another thing that she wants to do is to curb animal farming and that sort of thing.
Yes.
The problem is, where are you going to get the hydrocarbons you need to burn just so life can go on? I mean,
Yeah.
even if you take life back to a living standard that was around, I would say 18th century, mid 18th century, around 1750. Okay, or when George Washington would have been, he was born what, 1732. So he when 18 years old. When Washington was 18 years old, it would be about that standard of living.
Right.
Okay, and you would have a lot of reliance on wood burning which is, there's so many things wrong with that. If you deforest the world, you will start to have a significant impact on oxygen production.
Yes, absolutely.
Which we kind of need to breathe. Okay. Now, granted, most of the oxygen in the world is produced by microorganisms in the ocean, and those wouldn't be affected too much. But a significant enough proportion is produced by plant life,
Yes.
and most of that is trees. Most trees produce a lot more oxygen than wheat fields. They just
Agreed.
do. And so, yeah, you're going to have a lot of deforestation and burning wood smoke. Wood smoke is just like the nastiest pollutant in the world. They outlawed it in Denver, Colorado, because it was the cause of Denver being the most polluted city in the United States for years. It was much worse than Los Angeles. Oh, yeah, because Denver basically sits down in a little basin saddled up next to a bunch of mountains called the Front Range. And in that little basin, you would just get this haze of wood smoke. And it was people burning, wood in their fireplaces, because Denver's kind of a cold place. I mean, cold. I use that term advisedly with a Canadian, but people like a fire in the fireplace coming from the cold, and it's a nice welcoming thing. As soon as they stopped burning wood in fireplace, Denver's pollution problem vanished. I mean, it literally vanished, and Denver's a very clean city now. So that's just something that there's a lot of ideas in her Green New Deal that are non-stars. They cost too much, they're unrealistic, or they can't be done at all. And it shows that nobody checked this out. Nobody vetted this for basic feasibility. No adult had this in their mind and was thinking about, here's what we need to check out about this. Here are the mechanisms by which we're going to do this. Here are the phases with which we're going to implement this, and here's how those phases will be accomplished. Here are the mechanisms. Here's where the funding's going to come from. Here's the effects on people. Nobody thought anything about that. It was just like, put down a goal that, in my little cartoon view of reality, would be a cool thing to achieve.
Yeah.
And so that came out on her website. She put it out and embarrassed the hell out of the Democratic Party. So here's what happened. But basically, Chuck Schumer is really upside down. At least that's what I have heard in political whispers around Washington. I also have a friend who is he was kind of a very, very senior person in the Department of the Navy. I don't want to give his exact title out,
right.
But he's a very senior guy. He'd been a captain in the Navy. He was a lawyer in the Navy. He was JAG, very senior JAG guy. Then he retired and went to work for Department of the Navy. And he rose to the very highest levels, like Assistant Secretary of the Navy type level. So I get a little. So I was asking John about this, and he said that they are just upside down. And my friend is very liberal. He's a big enviro guy.
Right.
He's very, very liberal, and he'd normally be on board with us. And he said that thing set us back, and our side is just very pissed off about this, because this is something that people on the conservative side can point to and say, look how unrealistic this is. Look what nonsense this is. And it just takes time to combat that. It becomes part of the national conversation. That's another thing that they got pissed off with.
Yeah, God forbid that light should be shed on their ridiculous ideas and it become part of the national conversation.
Exactly. And so the people on the Trump side are just ecstatic about it, because this is another dummy they can punch in public and show that up to be the nonsense that it is. So yeah, basically this was a cartoon.
My favorite part was the connecting of the world via light rail or whatever.
Yes.
I'm just sitting there going, oceans, you fucking retard. You know that if you've ever watched Logic
Yes,
or Cool Hard Logic or anything like
I
that,
like Logic.
who does the flat earthers,
Right, right.
and they have that gravity, you fucking retard. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just switched gravity for oceans,
Well, see,
and all I was doing was screaming, "Oceans!
this
Oceans!"
well, this is once more the nonsense, because she said, "Well, practically everything's connected." That's the way she was thinking. We just need to build a tunnel, for Siberia, through the Aleutians, I guess, and we're going to connect all the Aleutians by bridges, and $1 billion there, $1 billion there, right? For and then you can connect Australia via the Javanese, the Indonesian islands. I guess you could find a way to do that. That's a few more $1 trillion. That's probably
Yeah.
$1 trillion operation right there. And for what? So you'll have high speed rail, right? Uh, you know, that's just such a dumb idea. I don't even know where to start. And you can't even safely go through Africa north to south. You cannot drive safely north to
No.
south in Africa. You just can't do it right now. How is she planning? There's no thought behind this. They're just like whimsical eighth grade moon spinning.
Pincalo
Nonsense.
says Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is the life embodiment of Lisa Simpson. Just pay attention to how she acts. She is Lisa Simpson. Yeah.
Yeah. Although Lisa Simpson can actually do stuff like play the saxophone, and
That's true.
I doubt that Ocasio Cortez can actually do anything. She's probably a terrible saxophone player. But no, yeah, I know.
Saxophone.
Absolutely. She is she's an embarrassment to the Democrats right
I
now.
think that they are sitting here going, "What did we do?"
Well, the Republicans are going, "What? Thank you, dear Lord. You are a just and merciful God who wants
Yes.
Republicans to be happy for providing us with this." Because she's just the Republicans' best friend right now,
Oh, he totally is.
and that's between that and Ilhan Omar coming out being, "I'm against Jews." Hey
Yeah.
guys, I'm on TV right now. Let's be quiet. Sorry, having dog noise in the background. Um, Ilhan Omar came out, another Democrat came out, and basically said, "I'm against Jews." And then she
Then
corrected,
tried to apologize.
"Yeah, sorry, not sorry."
Yeah.
It was a total non-apology, and she. Oh my God, what has happened to the Dems? What has happened to those people? What I was trying to figure out some conclusive things to say about the Democratic Party for the stream this morning. And I couldn't come up with anything. I can't figure out the rhyme and reason why this is happening, other than it's this kind of escalation of purity testing that the logical conclusion you end up with people like Ilhan Omar and Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, crazy people with unrealistic ideas that are fundamentally hateful. They're fundamentally, those are two of the most hateful people I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
They just absolutely are, and they couch it behind smiles. I think of it, the smiling face of fascism. I used to call Rush Limbaugh that, because I think he's that from the other side, the genial face of fascism, the genial guy who wants to control your life, control what you think and what you say.
There's a lyric from a song by one of my favorite Canadian bands, Billy Talent.
Yeah,
And it's a smiling Buddha with snake eyes.
I like that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
A smiling Buddha with snake eyes. It just totally fits.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's exactly kind of where I was going with that. I, I just I don't know what to conclude about any of that with them, other than that they're just it's purity test gone crazy. The stuff with the blackface, for example. What if you've ever worn blackface, or is it going to get to the point where if you've ever had a dirty face? Well, I never had a dirty face when I was little.
Yeah, no shit.
I never had a black mark on my face. Well, there's a picture of you, and it appears that there's a small smudge on your cheek. You were 3 years old. What kind of monster are you?
Did you hear about people going after Katy Perry's line of shoes?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Shoes. How
Yeah.
do shoes portray blackface? They go on your feet.
Exactly. All of this is leading up, by the way. I did have a theme in all this, presenting all this as background to the intersectionality crowd eating itself. Would you like to hear my story about that?
Sure.
All right. Mother arrested after calling a transgender woman a man.
She was arrested just
She
for
was
saying
arrested.
you're a man?
Mother 38 arrested in front of her children and locked in a cell for 7 hours after calling a transgender woman a man on Twitter.
On Twitter?
On Twitter. There's more
She
than
didn't
this.
even do it to his face?
No.
Her face, or their
hear this.
face, or what the fuck ever.
Police officers detained Kate Skatow, 38, at her home in Hitchin, Herefordshire. This is in England.
Oh, I'm so surprised.
Imagine my shock. More than 2 months after her arrest, she has had neither her mobile phone or laptop returned. They've kept those. The complaints made by activist Stephanie Hayden led to the arrest of Mrs. Skatow. Now, you're probably wondering, how the hell did this go down? Let me just read you the little blurb, little report. A mother was arrested in front of her children, locked up for 7 hours after referring to a transgender woman as a man online. 3 officers detained Kate Skatow at her home before quizzing her at a police station about an argument with an activist on Twitter over so-called dead naming. The 38-year-old from Hitchin had her photograph, DNA, and fingerprints taken. Yes, they take DNA. And remains under investigation. More than 2 months after her arrest, she has not had her mobile phone or laptop returned. She says that is hampering her studies. She's going for a master's degree in forensic psychology. Now, writing on online forum Mumsnet, Mrs. Skatow, who has also been served with a court order that bans her from referring to her accuser as a man. A court order claimed, I was arrested in my home by 3 officers with my autistic 10-year-old daughter and breastfed 20-month-old son present. I was then detained for 7 hours in the cell, and being interviewed and then later released under investigation. I was arrested for harassment and malicious communications because I called someone out and misgendered them on Twitter. Confirming her arrest, the Herefordshire police said basically all that is true. We take all reports of malicious communication. Just savor that for a moment.
Malicious communication.
Seriously. The case is the latest where police have been accused of being heavy-handed in dealing with people who go online to debate gender issues. Here's the point in this, is that the Miss Hayden, Stephanie Hayden, who is a transsexual and was born a different name that is not listed in this article. She is a one of these ardent. If you use my dead name, if you misgender me or use my dead name, I'm going to go after you. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to call the police and so forth. What the Mrs. Skatow has been termed a TERF, as I understand it. She has children, but she is a trans exclusionary radical feminist.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, exactly. And so you have two people who are both in the victim oppression stack going after each other. I think that is just kind of, if it didn't depress me so much, I would find it amusing.
That's
They'll eat themselves. They've started to eat themselves, and
yep.
I I thought that this was originally going to happen, and I still think it may happen between brown and black, between Mexican Americans or Hispanics and black people, because there is a lot of resentment in the Hispanic community, and I'm pretty close to it here in Texas, that black people are getting the best goodies from the oppression stack, and they think they should be getting some of the goodies that black people are being given.
Yeah.
And when somebody appoints themselves the arbiter of these things, and the person who's in charge of handing out the goodies, this kind of stuff is going to happen. You're going to have conflict between the people who want to receive the goodies and think they're entitled.
Wow.
There's just no end to this. There just is absolutely no end to this. So I wanted to share that with
That's
our
ridiculous.
listeners. Yeah. I thought you would find that.
Pincalo just said, "I've seen what the shoes look like. Those Katy Perry shoes."
Yeah.
He goes, "Take a pair of wax lips, put them at the toes, and then put a pair of eyes on the tongue and make them all black. This is legit." So they've actually made a face on the shoe, I guess.
Evidently, hang on.
Hi, Robert Burke. Good morning.
Man, I typed in Katy Perry, and the first thing that comes up is shoes.
Yep.
Yeah, they kind of do look like faces. They kind of do look like faces. There's no doubt about it. And they're black. The big red lips. I can see it.
Yeah.
They could evoke blackface. She's accused of being racially insensitive. I think that this whole thing with blackface is nonsense.
I think it was probably somebody. I think she was probably trying to be edgy.
You think so? That's
But
interesting.
I think if Lady
Think
Gaga,
about that.
I think if Lady Gaga had done that, she would have been fine.
Interesting.
But Katy Perry is
white bread.
A little bit too vanilla for that.
Yeah, she's white bread. She's Wonder Bread. Yep, you might be right. You might be right. I didn't think of that. That she was trying to be edgy.
I really think that might have been why.
She has removed the blackface shoe range from the collection. They just call it the blackface shoe range. So this is their impartial news media. Oh my God!
How very unbiased of you.
Wow. Yeah. The media has just appointed itself the arbiters of this. I went back and forth with this guy, Mike. What's his name? Can't remember his last name. Stuckberry or something. In Scotland over Dankula. And, at the end of it, he said, "Yeah, I appreciate your point of view," but he said, "You just have to trust us."
Yeah.
And when he said that, I realized the argument was over.
Well, that's just terrifying.
Yeah, that is
just
absolutely.
Have to trust us? Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, we'll tell you what's good and what's bad, and what you can say and what you must not say. Trust us. We're in charge.
Duck Dog just says it looks like she put Mr. Potato Head parts on a black shoe. She's lazy, not racist.
That's not wrong, Duck. That's not wrong, Duck Dog. They do look like Mr. Potato Head parts. It's really crude. Really, truly is crude. Hey.
And I wonder how much they cost.
Oh, I'm sure they're very inexpensive. Katy Perry shoes. Yeah. but they're high end, pretty high end. So anyway, let's see what's going on in chat this morning. Let's Pop and Hop said, haha, it's hard to build a 1 mile bridge in Alaska because the ice that builds up in the sounds in the winter will destroy the pilings and found it. It absolutely is. Yeah, you almost can't put piling space. You pretty much have to have suspension bridges. You'd have to have a long ass suspension bridge. I mean, it would be by far the longest in the world. Also, the winds up there. That's the problem with suspension bridges. Suspension bridge is basically a big wing.
Yeah.
And they tend to get torn apart by the winds. You have to go with tunnels, I think. I think you would have to do tunnels up there. And that's a different problem. So.
And then how would you connect freaking North America to Europe?
Well, you can't. You would have to go via Asia. But a high-speed rail, right? That's no problem. Because you could just have, what if you had rail cars that went at the speed of light? You could just have rail cars that would go at the speed of light. And so it will only take like half an hour to go across Asia at the speed of light. Because that's physics. Just got finished speaking of physics. He said leading himself into another topic. I just got finished watching Janet Fiamingo. Are you familiar with her at all?
I'm not, actually.
Janet Fiamingo is I think she's a Canadian professor of something or other. I can't remember, English literature or something. But she is violently against the nonsense that is taking over the academy. And just is a delight to watch. Just sensible and entertaining. And delivered in kind of a deadpan style, even when she's, being sarcastic, which I kind of love. At any rate, she was going on about how physics has been taken over by the SJWs, and now people are able to gain credit in physics courses as having taken a physics course, and there's no actual physics content in the course. So there's no actual physics content in the course. It's all about how white people have oppressed other races and kept them out of physics, keeping all the good stuff for themselves. It's not a matter of intelligence or aptitude or anything like that. It's the fact that physics has been unwelcoming to other races and to women, and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
And to anybody who's had any quantitative background at all, who's darkened the door of a calculus course or advanced physics course, that's absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
What it is that you can either do this math or you can't. You can either understand how these formulas are derived and what they mean, or you can't. Okay, you're either capable of learning that stuff and motivated to learn it, or you're not, or you can't. Okay, it's one or the other. And for whatever reason, it's a field that's dominated by white males. It's really dominated. Truth be told, it's dominated by Ashkenazi Jews, who just are tremendously overrepresented in the field. And I'm not making a statement about race and IQ or anything like that. I just don't think that there's been a systematic effort by anybody, particularly not white people, to keep other races or other people out of the field. I don't think you can even make a case for that. I don't think there's any evidentiary information to make that case. What do you think?
I would agree. I've never heard a
So their solution is this: to make it more welcoming to other races and to women. They have physics courses that talk about the fact that they're basically courses in intersectionality and discrimination. Talk about how physics has excluded people of different colors or women from the field, and that's all they talk about. They talk about no physics, other than saying that the school that Newton went to didn't admit women. That college didn't admit women at Oxford at that time, and that's the extent to which you get to visit physics. But you get a credit in physics as though you had taken a quantitative hard course with math and real physics in it.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And that's making the people who are actually studying physics a little bit crazy. And they're not allowed to say anything against it, or they will be expelled from school. She was talking about the loyalty oaths that prospective professors have to take and have to sign, and it's straight out of the Little Red Book, straight out of Chairman Mao. It's like the Cultural Revolution. They don't know how they are unintentionally duplicating history.
First astronomy, then physics.
Yeah. Well, I can hardly wait to see math. Well, in math, you have that professor out in Hawaii that I talked about. She doesn't teach any math. She has a PhD in math, but she doesn't teach any math. Right? Brilliant. She doesn't do math. She even talks about the fact that she does not do math. Even talks about that and glories in it. I'm a math teacher who doesn't teach math, and she was going with she was shacked up with a guy who is a legitimate PhD in math.
Yeah.
Until she got her PhD, and then suddenly he was history. Okay, and she's out slinging around saying basically I want to teach intersectionality and how people have been excluded from mathematics. I don't want to teach mathematics. I'm not going to teach. And the University of Hawaii hired her as an adjunct professor.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. What's her name? Piper.
I can't remember.
Professor Piper, math professor Piper Heron. That's it. University of Hawaii, Piper Heron. And, she temporary assistant professor. She's doing research on intersectionality. And let's see, her interests are intersectional. This is for a math professor. Her math interests are intersectional feminism, anti-racism, and humanizing mathematics.
Yes, because math is very much a humanities.
Well, yeah, it's not abstract or anything like that.
That's the wow.
On Rate My Racist Professor, Piper Heron.
On Rate My Racist Professor?
Rate My Racist Professor.
That's a thing.
That's a site. That's a website. On Rate My Racist Professor, she scores a 3.5, which is a relatively high score. I think it's out of 5. University of Hawaii. She, in fact, I'll read this post. It's pretty funny. I will look to this. Piper Heron made headlines when she published a blog post for the American Mathematical Society entitled "Get Out of the Way." In the article, she argued that white men should either quit or be demoted from their jobs. In part, she wrote, "Not to alarm you, but I probably want you to quit your job, at least take a demotion. Statistically speaking, you are probably taking up room that should go to someone else, someone of color." Additionally, Heron argued for men to get off your hiring committee, your curriculum committee, and make sure you're replaced by a woman of color or a trans person. Heron advised universities to stop hiring white cis men except as needed to retain people who are not white cis men until the problem goes away. If you think this is a bad or I'm unserious idea, your sexism, racism, transphobia is showing. She concluded her argument by stating, "Not to alarm you, but statistically speaking, you are the problem. Your very presence. I can't tell you what the best strategy for you to stop blocking my path is. I can just ask that you please get the hell out of my way."
Wow.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. She is, she's,
I need to go see what he's doing.
No
I'll be
problem.
right back.
I'm going to read through the Racist Hall of Fame here in this. Let's see how this works. James B. Duke, Jerry Hoff. I want to go to the, let me do this again. Sorry about the dead air here. I'm kind of perusing through the rate my racist professor .com, and I'm looking through. I'm just going to get one at let's view the profile of M. Shahid Alam, professor of economics. He gets a 4.6 racism score. He's at Northeastern University. He's anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, and he said, "This is rate my racist professor." I've just
It sounds like a gold mine of fun.
Oh my God, you just won't believe it. I've picked this guy. His name, Professor Alam, is a longtime supporter of the BDS movement. Okay, that's the boycott, divest, and I forget what the S stands for. A thing that's against Israel. Basically, they want to starve Israel.
Oh, right.
Into basically killing themselves, march into the sea and drown, and let the Arabs take over. He's a longtime supporter of the BDS movement. In 2002, he wrote an article for Counterpunch in which he accused the Zionist project, meaning Jewish project, yes, of wiping out the Arab presence from Palestine to make room for Jewish settlers. He also blamed Israel for the Palestinian suicide bombings of the Second Intifada, saying that if the Palestinians now use the only defense they have to weaponize their death, who is to blame? They are.
Them?
In rationalizing his position, he argues that the Zionist movement sought to establish an exclusively Jewish state in Palestine, and that this is how Israel emerged in 1948 through conquest and ethnic cleansing of 800,000 Palestinians. Every single fact in that statement is false and provably false. Provably false. God, this just makes me crazy. In another article for Counterpunch, he drew parallels between the leaders of the American Revolution and the 9/11 hijackers.
Excuse me?
Just let that sink in for a minute. The leaders of the American Revolution and the 9/11 hijackers, arguing that both insurgencies seek to overthrow what they perceive to be foreign occupations. Okay. And defending their actions by claiming that if the Muslims don't change their conditions, the Americans and Israelis have set in motion the machinery that will rearrange their world.
Okay.
Damn,
Jackass.
Dude.
Jackass. Yeah. First of all, 9/11 happened on American soil. Okay. And fucking Washington never led a flotilla of ships to fucking Britain
to burn London
down. Yeah. So fuck off with that.
Really. Exactly. It just makes me crazy. And this is just one guy. I mean, I'm in the Hall of Fame. Like, let's see. Tommy Curry, professor of philosophy. Yeah, he's only a 3.6. Nah, I want better than that. I want to get let's see. Hold on 1 second. Oh, stop that dog.
Are you having your feet eaten? Or your cables eaten?
She's just, oh, damn it. Let's do Preston Mitchum, Georgetown University. No tolerance for tolerance. Preston Mitchum came to attention in July 2017 when he claimed, yes, all, and all is in caps, white people are racist. Yes, all men are sexist. Yes, all cis people are transphobic. He similarly tweeted on July 15th that I really, 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 really hate cops. Hate them. In responding to his comments, Professor Mitchum told Campus Reform that simply being a part of any dominant group when it comes to race, gender, sexuality, etc., contributes to the oppression of other groups, period.
Okay.
Simply being a part of any dominant group, just being a part, contributes to their oppression because reasons. Just because I want that to be true.
So, by his logic, because he's a professor,
yes,
so he's in a group of dominant people as being professors.
Yes.
Then he is an oppressor.
Not really, because he's black. So he's a member of the National Coalition for LGBT Health. So he gets a pass. Okay.
Oh.
He gets a pass because reasons. Following the ensuing backlash against him that ensued, Mitchum took issue with what he considers the textbook definition of racism, arguing that it ignored the experiences of the only ones experiencing it, people of color. So there you go. He has zero tolerance for tolerance, and Bob's your uncle and Fanny's your aunt. And
that is craziness.
Yeah,
Holy
that is
moly.
craziness. I wanted to get, I can't, they have this dopey thing where it kind of scrolls across, and I want to get the number one guy. He's a guy named Pino, Professor Pino. Oh, there he is again. All right, let's look at his profile. He gets a 4.9. Okay.
Oh.
Professor Pino is a professor at Kent State University, made famous. He's anti-Semitic. He's in the Muslim Brotherhood and affiliates. He shows racial prejudice, and he's anti-American, and he's anti-Israel. I'm going through all, and he's anti-Semitic also. And okay, Julio Cesar Pino is a Cuban-born convert to Islam. I like him already.
How does that work?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Havana Nagila. No, that would be if he converted Judaism. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, who promotes anti-American, anti-Israel, and anti-Semitic ideas. He, for example, posted on Facebook that Sheikh Osama, may Allah be pleased with him, was the greatest and deserve praise for kicking off this jihad. And I come to bury DC, not to praise.
Wow.
Yeah, he's not great at English, evidently, either. As of January 2016, Pino was reportedly under FBI investigation for supporting ISIS and allegedly trying to recruit students to join the group. Let's take that in for a moment. Your kid is going to school at Kent State. You think it's a nice, safe place, and this monster is teaching. The FBI announced that a joint terrorism task force had been investigating Pino for a year and a half before the report was made public. He's also been accused of running the now defunct website Global War, which called itself a jihadist news service. The blog regularly called for the death and mass murder of Jews and American soldiers, provided readers with detailed bomb-making instructions, and declared support for Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. When asked about the site, Pino only responded by saying the website is not the issue. Freedom of speech is the issue.
Yeah. Wow.
I could go on, but I think you see, these people are teaching young minds. This is where young minds are getting their information.
Yep.
It's heartbreaking to see this.
And it's like the human brain is not done growing until around 25, 26. And the last thing to finish growing is the frontal cortex, which helps you with reason and logic.
Yeah, and judgment.
And judgment.
The frontal cortex, that's the home of judgment. That's where, and ambition also, by the way, resides there. So, how your ambition is directed.
And then you have these whack jobs basically indoctrinating people whose brains are not done developing yet.
Yes, exactly.
It's terrifying.
interesting. It is terrifying. I hate to see these trends going on like this. You just, yeah, I don't even know, what to say. Guys like this guy Robert George, he's he, he's just as bad the other way. Robert George is an American legal scholar and political philosopher who is considered one of America's leading conservative intellectuals. And I've heard of this guy. He's a staunch critic of gay marriage and LGBT equality in general. In a 2011 interview on the changing gay marriage laws in New York, for example, George argued that it promotes sexual conduct that was traditionally regarded in the West and many other places as beneath the dignity of human beings as free and rational creatures. That's okay. That's just as bad the other way.
Yes,
in the same interview, he alleged that gay relationships have no intelligible basis in them for the norms of monogamy, exclusivity, and the pledge of permanence.
Okay.
Because reasons?
Because gay people don't want to have monogamous relationships.
Right. They don't fall in love with each other and want to have that exclusivity, that wonderful thing that's only for boy girl. Okay, gotcha. He also claimed that New York Governor Andrew Cuomo shouldn't be considered Catholic because his decision to sign gay marriage into law makes it clear that he simply does not believe in what Catholicism teaches about sexual morality and marriage. George has called for a national rebellion against marriage equality in the U.S., even drafting the Manhattan Declaration Manifesto that promised resistance to the point of civil disobedience against any legislation that may threaten his own beliefs.
I wonder if that
what a fuckhead.
I wonder if that clerk in Kentucky belonged to that organization.
It'd be interesting to know. Yeah, I'd be surprised if a clerk in Kentucky was, I think that's probably more of an academic, it's pointed toward people in university life, and you can find guys like this, but this guy is a professor at Princeton.
Jesus.
I know. Fuck's sake. Why can't we just get normal people who teach what they're supposed to teach? What an asshole.
They're making Frozen 2, Will? Holy shit, why? Disney just needs sequel.
Frozen 2? No. Yeah. Don't say that. Really?
Yeah.
Kill me. Thank you, Will. Thanks for spoiling my day. Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Man. Well, guys, I don't think I could do 2 hours. My throat is getting pretty bad. So let's do about 10, maybe 10, 15 minutes of chat time.
Let's run some back through chat and see kind of what they've been talking about. I'm sorry I've talked too much again.
Actually, you kind of helped because my congestion came back and my throat is starting to hurt a little bit. So I'm kind of glad you were here to help.
You need to take it easy. Seriously, you need to get rid of this and get back on your feet because you're not well yet.
No, I'm not. And the because we're still trying to figure out whether or not I am actually with child, I haven't been taking any cold and flu medication because you can't do that when you're carrying. Right. Yeah, you can't do that when you're pregnant. So just in case, I haven't been taking like any decongestants or anything like that. Yeah. So I've just been suffering.
Bless your heart. Sorry, hon. I just, just time and rest and fluids. Stay warm, rest, fluids, time. You'll get well. I was going to say
honey and lemon drinks for the win. Yeah,
absolutely. Duck Dog had a good insight. Hawaii has given us so much: meth heads, anti-gun laws from the judicial bench, pro-immigrant laws from the judicial bench, and more overturned appeals than any other court. He's not wrong.
Obama.
Not to mention Obama. That's a great point.
Thank you, Hawaii.
Yeah, thanks, but no thanks. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Hawaii, before we go, did you see all of the ridiculous bullshit about the people freaking out that there's snow for the first time ever in Maui on top of a mountain.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's like, okay, people go skiing there all the time, right?
Yeah.
And they
People go
also
skiing on the
ski in
Big Island
Chile.
all the time. Yeah.
They also ski in Chile.
Oh, yeah. Skiing's really good in Chile, actually.
It's like, come on, you idiots. Like,
there's some really superior skiing in Chile, particularly the southern part. It gets like Canada does.
oh, Piccolo also pointed out you guys forgot they gave us Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Oh, that's
Fucking Howley.
How Howley boy. That was funny. When I reported aboard the USS Kansas City many years ago,
yeah.
I was the junior man in a three officer department. It had about 100 enlisted men and 3 officers, and I was the junior officer. The number 2 officer was a guy. He was full blood Hawaiian.
Right.
They used to call me Howley Boy, and the troops called me Ensign Howley Boy. And but that was the cool thing was that was actually a sign that they accepted me.
Yeah.
That they liked working for me. And I always but anytime I hear the term Howley, it brings back that memory. I just had to share it with you. But anyway, Ensign Howley Boy, that was me.
Yeah, he came and I was yelling, "Why are you laughing?"
I had a great relationship with my guys.
That's awesome.
One of the things that was just wonderful. There's 2 ways you can play it. Basically, as a junior officer, you can push that butter bar, as we used to call it, the butter bar being the gold bar that you wear on your. You can push that rank and try and push people around and threaten them and make them do their job that way. Or you can basically say these guys want to do a good job, and you just can support them and make sure that they get the right information and scheduling and so forth, and give them, I used to call it give them an excuse to succeed.
Yeah.
And that actually worked out really well. I mean, I made some it just worked a lot easier for me to have that kind of relationship with them.
I kind of try and do the same thing with parenting. Like, I don't want to be my kids' friends, right? Because I'm not their friend.
You're not their peer.
But I want to give them a reason to succeed, right?
Exactly.
I don't want to, like, unless I have a reason not to trust them, for example, I'm going to trust them. Right? Like, and that I say this to parents all the time, like, you have to trust that your kids are going to be okay until they show you otherwise. And then you figure out how to deal with that. But the minute you start treating your kids like you don't trust them, for example, without them doing something specific to warrant that, then you're going to have a problem.
I agree. I quite agree. I've turned on the camera and I'm letting the puppy dog be a star.
Chloe.
It's little Chloe. She's
How's
being
she
a sweet
doing?
girl. She's being a good girl. Being a good pup. Daddy's scratching her ears right now, and she's looking into the camera with those little black button eyes and a sweet look on her face. Just winning hearts and minds. That's what we do here on the coffee stream. I guess it's about time to wrap it up. You need to get some rest, girl.
Yeah, I think my fever's back too.
Yeah. Let's not push this.
All right, guys.
You take us out, hon.
I am going to take us out. Thanks for coming and listening to us. Cool. Mommy was almost done, okay? So thanks for listening, guys. I will try to be back tomorrow for an hour or so.
You're a maybe for tonight?
Maybe for tonight. Even if I'm not there, go listen to Minions.
Yep.
It'll be fun. Send me the link anyways.
Oh, I will.
And
always.
If I feel up to it, I'll pop in.
That'll be wonderful. We'd love to have you. You know that. You got to be feeling good.
Yeah. Have a good day, everyone. I hope you guys stay safe and warm, and we will see you tomorrow.
Be careful out there.